Welcome to Southeast Asian Apologetics. Glad to have you here. We're going to talk a little bit again between Bible and Quran. In Isaiah 40 to 48, it's a trial of false gods. And we can apply this even to Islam, especially. There are some similarities between the Bible and the Quran, but the chasm, the distance between the Bible and the Quran, it cannot be shrunk. It's just an impassable chasm. And fundamentals to what Muslims believe and fundamentals to what Christians believe are totally different. So one of the things in Quran is the unbelievers are questioning Muhammad, where are your miracles? Where are your miracles? Because you act like you're the next Moses, and Moses did miracles, so where are your miracles? So he says, well, I only have the Quran for you. But one of the things that Muslim apologists try to use or attempt to use is to say that there is a prophecy in the Quran, or even two prophecies, but this is one of the main ones that a lot of Muslims use, and it's from Surah chapter 30, and we'll read it here. Alif Lam Mim. See if I can scroll on this bad boy. The Romans have been defeated in nearby land, yet following their defeat, they will triumph. Within 3 to 9 years, the whole matter rests with Allah before and after victory, and on that day the believers will rejoice at the victory willed by Allah. He gives victory to whoever He wills, for He is the Almighty, the Merciful. Alright, so anyways, what I want you to understand here is the claim is the Romans lost in the defeat, and then they would turn back around and defeat the Persians. Now, the text does not say the Persians, or the Sasanians to be more accurate. It's the same thing, essentially. But the point here is, when was this text written? Is it really 3 to 9 years? Because some translations say a short time. I believe Yusuf Ali translation says 3 to 9 years. And is this a miraculous prophecy showing that the Quran is the Word of God? Well, no, it's not. First of all, anybody, even if this were hypothetically true, anybody could get a prophecy correct. The Bible has numerous prophecies and continually gets them correct all the time. And we're going to contrast this with the Bible in a bit, but let's dig more into this for a few more minutes. So, the Romans have been defeated. This is, again, we don't know when this was written. Supposedly this text was written Meccan in about 615. So, the last part of this text, 9 years, has to be completed by 624 or earlier. And so it said that the Sasanians under Khosrow defeated Jerusalem, took the relic of the true cross back to Sasanian Empire, and Heraclius in the Battle of Issus eventually had a reversal, defeated the Persians, and then brought the true cross back. Although, actually, part of that wasn't actually until the Battle of Nineveh, which was 627, so that's a 12-year spread and not 3 to 9 years. But with Issus, they said that was completed because that battle began in 622. However, the completion of that didn't really end until 625, so you're still off by a year. If this was in 615, this Meccan Surah, and then the battle was completed, that's still a year off. But again, not worried. Why? There's another problem. This text, who knows when it was written? We don't have any autographs of the Quran. That's another problem. But even another problem on top of that, early Islam, we don't have, in a lot of the early manuscripts, there's only a few diacritical marks. So we don't have those vowel markings. Alright? So it could be read, instead of they have been defeated or they shall defeat, it's ambiguous. So we don't always know because there's no diacritical marks. So we don't know, present tense, past tense, future tense. That can be a bit of a problem there as well. So ambiguous text doesn't help there. But let's look at something more specific at what the Bible does say. Isaiah 44 and 45. If we go to Isaiah 6, he talks about under the reign of King Uzziah. So we're looking at like roughly 700 BC, more or less. But then Isaiah 37 talks about Sennacherib, and he died in 681. And much of the other writings came around that time of the death of Sennacherib. So this was all written around 680 BC. And it specifically talks about someone who is not born yet, but everybody knows him in history, Christian history, secular history. And at the end of Isaiah 44, it talks about Cyrus right here. You will be the one who will rule for me. He was not yet born. And it says that he will have Jerusalem rebuilt and the foundations of the temple will be laid because the Babylonians eventually destroyed them. So Jerusalem will be rebuilt. And it says again about Cyrus in the next chapter that he appointed him to conquer nations. And that was true. He also conquered Babylon in about 539 BC. And so this prophecy was fulfilled about 150 years before Cyrus was even born, and it specifically mentions Cyrus. Again, who are the Romans defeated? Are defeated by? Ambiguous text, don't have the autographs. Is this with even 9 years? Are we talking about the Battle of Isis, Battle of Nineveh? It's 12 years, that's too late. What are we talking about here? And again, the reductio ad absurdum of this is, wow, it's amazing because, yeah, I give him some credit. In history, it didn't look like Heraclius was going to do a reversal there. But this sometimes happens throughout history. But even if we're just talking about small battles, that happens where people are constantly, throughout history, changing, reversing the tables on each other. Let me give you a reductio ad absurdum of this. So, in 634, Muslims lost the Sasanian Empire a battle under Ubayd. And if a Zoroastrian, let's say the ruler, Yezdegerd, let's say that he said, he's pronouncing a proclamation upon himself. We will be defeated within the next few years by the Muslims. That's happened a few years later. They were Al-Qasidiyah, 635, 636, Battle of Ctesiphon. So these reversals happen throughout history. So even though Muslims lost the battle in 634, I think it was Battle of the Bridge, just because they lose a battle doesn't mean they can't come around and win another battle. That happens again all throughout history. So that would be the reductio ad absurdum if one of the lower class, because Sasanianism, Sasanian society had a big hierarchical system. So some of the peasants probably glad that some of the Muslims came in and invaded because they didn't always care for the rulers. So if you found hypothetically an obscure text that says, well, yeah, it's true, Sasanians won a battle at 634, but we're going to lose, they're going to lose battles within the next 3 to 9 years, you would be correct. Would that mean that that Sasanian person was a prophet? No. Again, Muhammad, no miracles, ambiguous texts, no autograph, don't know when this was written, don't know when this was applied to, what battle specifically. It's not very impressive. And given what happens in history, reversal battles, also not very impressive. So that's that in a nutshell. We gave you one prophecy in the Bible, many other prophecies about Jesus dying in the Old Testament, and so on and so forth. Isaiah 53 is very specific, and others as well. Psalm 22 as well. So Genesis 3:15 is technically even a prophecy. But again, at the end of the day, you have reductio ad absurdums there for the Quran, and there's no reason to believe that this is miraculous or supports the fact that the Quran is, quote, a divine book. And next time we are going to do some other things and go into some other things, but in the near future, hopefully we can talk about the Quran and inimitability and the fact that the Quran cannot be copied, and why that is a nonsense argument, a subjective argument, and why there's many reductio ad absurdum arguments, why there's many logical fallacies to the supposed inimitability of the Quran. So I know I stated myself several times there, but that's for my readers who are new to this argument, comparing the Bible and the Quran. I did it for your benefit. So thank you for listening, and to God be the glory.